Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to look at adding a passenger train to the roster. First, let's look at some rolling stock, and then let's see how it actually fits into the roster and what the options are. Let's get rolling after the intro. So guys, here we are. I originally wanted to add this Bud railcar to my layout, but my layout is totally not designed for such a long railcar. And as you see in the different video clips here, it just does not look nice. The overhang on the front is way too much, and the overhang in the middle is also way too much. So then I eventually started looking at some shorter options. So then I came to this set right here. It happens to be a Rio Grande line set of cars, and these are, I believe, about 60 foot long. I did not get around yet to detail them, so the insides are empty. Take the roof off like that, and you see the connecting harmonica pieces are also not there yet. And actually, while using them on my layout, I find they're just a bit too big for the layout still. I just did not design this layout for 60-foot cars. Although it does look a bit better than the Bud, to be honest, I still find the overhang just a bit too much. So then I looked online, and then I went for these overland cars. I lined them up here. As you see, they are much shorter. These are 60 foot and these are, I guess, around the 35 foot. I chose to use them for now, so more on these trains later. Let's just first have a look at the schematics. So here's a very simplified schematic of the layout. The towns in order are Asheville, Bucks, Connellsville, and Dalton. And in Asheville, Connellsville, and Dalton, there is a siding so two trains can meet and pass each other. So let's look at the roster, the departures. So we have the Dalton turn, CV turn, and local. Actually, the day starts off with some switching to get the Dalton turn and the CV turn all classified and sorted. But that's not a train that goes up the line, so I didn't put it on there. Then we start with the Dalton turn. As you see, it goes up the line and heads over to Dalton. CV turn is actually the same, nothing special, just goes to Connellsville. And then when the Dalton turn is finished with spotting and picking up the cars there, it makes its way back to Asheville. It then passes the CV turn, and the Dalton turn then ends in Asheville, where it will be terminated by the local switcher. And at some point, the CV turn will also arrive in Asheville and will also be terminated. If needed in the day, there is a local that would go to Asheville and stop at all the intermediate places just to pick up any remaining cars that are on the line. Because do note, the only way to get the cars up the line from Connellsville to Dalton is with the local. Another separate note is that Bucks is switched from Asheville, as it is nearby. So now where to add a passenger train. I appropriately called it the AD Bullet, as it just goes from Asheville to Dalton. I initially thought to let the passenger train depart first, even before the switching of the Dalton to CV turn, because then once it arrived in Dalton, it would turn around and then it would nicely create some head-on traffic for the Dalton and CV turn. But I ran into some issues. I don't really have any space in Asheville to keep all the passenger cars at the beginning of an operation session. So somehow I came up with the idea to let the Bullet, the AD Bullet, start in Dalton, which would immediately generate upcoming traffic for the Dalton and the CV turn. So let's see what then the timetable would look like. So first we'll do then the switching, obviously, and then the Dalton turn would leave, and then in Connellsville it would meet the AD Bullet. But then we should actually call it DA Bullet, but let's just call it AD Bullet for now, the ADB. And after the meet in Connellsville, the Dalton turn would proceed to Dalton, and then the AD Bullet would proceed on to Asheville, where the CV turn is waiting to depart the minute that the AD Bullet arrives. And then the CV turn would depart to Connellsville. The AD Bullet would then just park onto a siding out of the way so the passengers can get out. So from that point on, it's more or less the same for now. The Dalton turn is going to pass the CV turn and terminate in Asheville, and the same with the Connellsville is going to terminate in Asheville. And then the local is going to leave and pick up all the strangling cars and spot them where needed. And then I think it would be nice to finish today with the local and the AD Bullet to meet in Connellsville, after which the AD Bullet would terminate in Dalton, and the local would then terminate in Asheville and finish the switching of Asheville and Bucks for the day. So this is what I mean with there's no space. The AD Bullet would actually stay here in Dalton. This will be a small passenger spur where the passengers can get on and off. And you see also there's a little terminal here that would service and facilitate the steam engine for this little train. And in Asheville, you see this is then where the AD Bullet would be spotted, and the passengers can depart from here. So that was the schematic. So back to the trains for a bit. I've been experimenting and playing around with this set right here. I have 4 cars. So one thing I've been experimenting with, I have a 4th car. This a through mail car from the Railway Express Agency. So I'm actually been playing around with this guy. So the passenger train comes in and spots it at the Railway Express Agency, and then leaves it there for a day. And then the next day, the Dalton turn takes it along and spots it back up in Dalton. And then the next day around, the passenger train picks it up again and then spots it at the Railway Express Agency. I did that because I like to look up a passenger car stuck to the end of a freight train. I came up with the conclusion that I just do not like the look of these cars on my layout. So I'm gonna put them back in the box and say bye-bye. These cars are just too long, it's just too much. So looking at it in more detail, I put these two each other, and if I try to align the turning point of the trucks, you see the distance from the middle point of the truck to the coupling in an old box car is quite short. But here in this passenger car, it's quite long. The distance between right here, the turning point of the truck, and the coupling is much longer than with a box car. So therefore it sways a lot in the corner. So as this car is just about 10 feet longer than the longest box car I have, it seems way longer, and this swaying motion is exaggerated by the position of the truck and the coupling. And I frankly just do not like this swaying motion in overhanging cars. It's just so unrealistic. It breaks the illusion for me. So these guys are out. And then we have this beautiful Bud rail car. What to say? I really want to use it, but it just does not fit on this layout. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it back into the box. And on my next layout, I'm going to ensure that I have at least 24-inch radius on my curves. So despite this fantastic explanation with diagrams, how I want to add a passenger train to my layout, I'm actually not going to. I'm going to take all the cars off and just stick to freight for now. Unless you know of any nice rail cars that might actually work and avoid all these problems I've been discussing and fit somehow in the transition era time period, please do let me know in the comments down below. That's all for today. Thank you again very much for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.